Hello and welcome to your mediation session. My name is Patricia Wyans and I'll be your mediator today. I just want to thank the both of you for coming out. I know it can be a hard process to commit to. Are you both comfortable where you're seated?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. What are your names and how would you like to be addressed today?
My name is Kevin Kopp. I'm
Kevin.
Julie Boyd.
Julie? Kevin? And that's how you would like to be addressed?
That's fine.
Alright. I just want to let you know I go to Midstate in both Marshfield and Stevens Point, and I was wondering if either one of you know me from around there or seen me out in the community.
I don't think I know you.
Okay.
No.
So is it okay if I'm your mediator today?
Yep, that's fine.
Alright. So here I have your mediation agreements, and you should have glanced over them prior, so you know what today is going to be about. They just pretty much cover what I will be discussing today and what we will be going over during this session. If you could just sign those, if you agree with everything, I have pencil here you can use.
Here.
At the back. Thank you. And then I'm just gonna sign and date these as well. Alright. I just want to let you know that there are restrooms back here, and if you need them, we can stop at any time and let you do that. Also, there are refreshments. If you would like some, we can have those brought up. I just want to ask if you could both silence your cell phones, or turn them off or silence them, unless you're expecting a call coming today that's important, and then just let me know so we can be prepared for that. Are both of you comfortable where you're sitting, and there's nothing else I can do to make you any more comfortable?
I'm good, there's nothing else. I'm fine.
Alright. And are there any time restraints either of you have today that I should be aware of? This is a 3-hour session we're booked for, and I just want to make sure you're both going to be able to be here the whole time.
I'll be here. My schedule is free.
Alright. And both of you today, are you able to make an agreement concerning this issue and no one else needs to be present?
I'm authorized to make an agreement.
And are you?
I'm good.
Alright. So I'm going to give you my opening statement, and then afterwards I will hear an uninterrupted opening statement from both of you. So during your opening statements, I may be taking notes, and so I will be the only one interrupting you with questions. Just make sure my notes are correct. Other than that, it's uninterrupted, so neither one of you should talk during the other opening statements. Mediation is negotiation with a third party or mediator, and it's my job to remain neutral, and I have no opinion in the end outcome of this situation. I just want you to know that. So during a mediation session, you both have 3 rights. Confidentiality is the first one, and that means that I will not say anything about what happens today outside of this room, and I will even destroy the notes I take before leaving. And I just want to ask if both of you can keep that confidentiality.
Yeah.
Alright. The second is voluntary participation, which means you are both here on your free will, and you are able to leave at any time if you see it's fit. However, I just want to ask that you come see me first, and maybe we can discuss some other options to maybe keep you here in this process. And last is neutrality, and like I kind of mentioned, I am a neutral party, and I have no say or opinion in the end outcome of this session. And then I just have to ask, it's a question we always have to ask, are either one of you under the influence of drugs or alcohol today?
No.
Alright. I just want you to know that I will not be giving you any advice today regarding the situation. If you need advice, you need to sought that from an outside source. And you've also said that you will not ask asked me to come to court because I will not testify for either one of you. There are a few rules of this mediation. I have the role as a mediator is to stay neutral, and it is up to the two of you to make a decision regarding this matter. Second, everything said today, I want to remain professional. That includes no shouting or swearing or rude, threatening behavior. It's your guys' job to work towards an agreement, which I will note in my mediator's report at the end of this. This is a joint session until all of the opening statements have been heard, or unless a caucus is called. A caucus is a private one-on-one meeting I will have with each of you. The caucuses may be of different lengths sometimes, but I just want you to know that it's not me taking sides. That is simply one or the other needing a little bit longer to discuss what needs discussed. And I just want to make sure you know that I'm not taking sides or being biased. If there is any threatening behavior, past, present, or future, that I become aware of, I will have to report that, just so you are aware. This mediation is where you have control of the situation, you have control of the outcome, and if you end up in court, you really have zero outcome over the situation and zero control. When we are done with the session, I will write up the outcome or agreement in my mediator's report. I will sign the original and send any copies needed to your attorneys and to the courts. And if we don't come to agreement today, maybe there are some other options we can discuss or just future sessions needed. Hopefully, we can discuss all the options. I just want to thank you both for listening to my opening statement. Do either one of you have any questions?
Nope. I think I've got an understanding.
All right. It's now time for your opening statement. Which one of you would like to go first?
I can.
Is it okay with you?
That's fine.
All right. I just want to remind you, it is uninterrupted. So let Kevin say what he needs to say.
I lived for 1 year in Skyview Apartments, which are managed by Julie from Jones Property Management. I moved in June 15th of last year and moved out May 25th of this year. While I lived there, I did everything by the book. I was a model tenant. My rent was never late. I took care of the repairs in my apartment by myself. I never complained about my neighbors and basically never bothered the office staff at all.
All right, so what I'm hearing, Kevin, is you stayed at Skyview Apartments for a year, and you moved in June 1st of last year and moved out May 25th of this year. And you said you're a model tenant and was never late with any rents and paid all the utilities and just was a model tenant, correct?
I moved in June 15th.
June 15th? Sorry about that. Is there anything else I missed?
No.
All right. Is there more? Or
There's more.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's not like I didn't have a reason to complain. I mean, my neighbors were always noisy and leaving their garbage in the hallways. Many people in the building had dogs, even though it was cats only. And the office staff on 2 occasions misplaced my rent check and tried charging me late fees. It was ridiculous.
So you're saying that you had reason to complain. Your neighbors were loud and left garbage and had dogs when there was cats, and the staff misplaced your rent checks twice?
Yeah.
Correct? All right, misplaced. And it was twice.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else I missed?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
Needless to say, I was glad my lease was ending. I went in on May 1st and gave Cindy, one of the office assistants, my written intent not to continue my tenancy. Cindy had me sign some papers and said everything was in order.
All right. So you were glad your lease was over, and you gave Cindy your letter saying you weren't going to re-rent the apartment.
Yeah. Moved out and thought that everything was fine. I gave them my address and waited for my deposit to be mailed. Well, August rolled around, and what do I get? I got a bill for $775 and a notice saying I broke my lease, therefore I forfeited my deposit. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I called Julie, but there was no reasoning with her. She told me that if I didn't pay, for the June rent, she would turn it over to the collections. There was no way I'm paying that bill. In fact, I think I should give a $500 deposit back with interest.
So you're saying that you got a letter in the mail saying you owe $775 because you broke your lease, correct?
Yeah.
And therefore you forfeited your deposit. And you're saying, in your opinion, Julie was unreasonable and not able to have any discussion with her, correct?
Yeah.
And then how much was the money you wanted back?
$500
So
with interest.
So, Kevin, you wanted $500 back with interest?
Yeah.
Alright, so I have, is there more or is that all?
That's all.
So, what I have, I'm just going to go over again, is you had 1 year at Skyview Apartments, June 15th through May 25th. Model tenants, you were never late. You had raised nigga planks, your neighbors were loud and left garbage and had dogs when there was only supposed to be cats. And they misplaced your rent checks twice. And then you were glad this was over because of everything that happened. And you gave Cindy, a lady in the office, a letter saying you weren't going to re-rent the apartment. Thought everything was good, and then you got a letter in the mail for $775 saying you broke the lease and forfeited the deposit, correct?
Yeah.
And then Julie, you said, was unreasonable, and you believe that you want $500 back with interest because of everything?
Yeah.
Alright, is there anything else?
No.
Did I miss anything or I need to correct anything?
That sounds about right.
Okay. Alright, so Julie, thank you for not interrupting. You can now have your opening statement. I just want to ask Kevin to make sure you give her the same respect she gave you.
Well, I've been a property manager for over 10 years, 6 of those with Jones Property Management. Kevin was a tenant at Skyview Apartments, which is just one of 4 apartment complexes that I manage. He was a quiet resident. The office staff had little contact with him. Until he moved out, there weren't any real problems with his tenancy. No problems till he moved out. The thing is that his lease was actually for June 15th to June 30th the following year. Normally, it would have been July 1st through June 30th, but we let him move in 15 days early because he needed a place immediately.
You said his lease was when to when?
June 15 to June 30th. Normally, it would be July 1 to June 30, but we let him come in 15 days early.
June 30th to May 30th?
June 15
June 15th
to June 30.
To June 30th. Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
And when was it supposed to be from normally?
Normally it would be July 1st through June 30th. Like I said, he needed a place immediately, and the apartment was vacant while we were repainting, so that was completed earlier than expected, so we modified his lease to include the extra 15 days.
Okay.
The problem is he moved out on May 25th, which is a full month before his lease was up, and it clearly states in the lease that the term is 1 year, ending June 30th, and his lease was up the last day of June. Therefore, he's responsible for June rent, and it's that simple.
So what I have so far is that Julie used to you've been a property manager for 10 years, and Skyview was just one of 4 apartments you own. And you said you had no problem with Kevin until he moved out, correct?
That's correct.
And you said his lease was from June 15th to June 30th of the next year, correct?
Correct.
And normally it would be July 1st to June 30th, but you modified this lease to include the extra 15 days.
Right.
And you said that Kevin moved out 1 month early.
That's correct.
Which breaks his lease.
It breaks his lease. And as in his lease clearly states, as far as the deposit is concerned, if he moves out early and does not fulfill the requirements of the lease agreement, he forfeits his $500 deposit. Kevin had a copy of his lease. He should have reread it before he decided to move out. I'm obviously not really willing to return his deposit with interest. And I do think I've been very reasonable with the amount of time I've given him to repay.
How much time have you given him to repay?
I gave him several months. I could have sent it to a collection agency right away, but I didn't want to affect his credit. He seems like a nice guy, and like I said, we've never had any problems when he was our tenant.
Okay. So, is that all you have, or is there more?
That's basically all I have.
Okay,
for
so I just
now.
want to go over what I have to make sure it's correct. Like you said, you were property manager for 10 years, Skyview 1 of 4 apartments. You had no problems with Kevin until he moved out. The lease got modified to make it available for Kevin, and then he broke up 1 month early, you said, which breaks his lease. And you said if he moves out early, that forfeits his deposit, and you're not willing to give him money back with interest. And you said you give him several months to repay the $700.
Right, and he's responsible for the June rent,
Okay, and Kevin's
according to the lease.
responsible for June rent according to the lease. Alright, was there anything I missed other than that, or does that all sound correct to you?
That sounds correct.
Okay, so, thank you both for following the rules. It made the process go a lot easier. You both kind of heard what each other had to say. So, is there anything else you think you guys can talk to each other about concerning this issue?
I'm very frustrated. Cindy or someone else in the office did not tell me I was breaking my lease. Obviously, I thought I was leaving after my lease had expired. I had been there 1 year, and the lease was for 1 year. Why wouldn't someone in the office tell me they think I should be there until the end of June? I obviously would have stayed an extra month.
So you're saying Cindy didn't let you know you were breaking the lease, and if you would have known, you would have stayed the extra month?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have a copy of the lease, but I didn't look at it that closely. Since I moved in June, you assumed 1 year was up June the next year. Why would it run up to July of the next year? That would be over the 1 year time. If nothing else, the lease should have been up June 15th instead of June 30th. That would have been 1 full year.
Okay, so you're saying you didn't have a copy of the lease, and you're just confused kind of because for you it was pretty much a year, and if it doesn't make sense to you that it would be till July?
Yeah.
Okay. So Julia, do you have anything to say about what he just said?
Well, Kevin seems to be a very responsible man, so he should have read his lease. In fact, when I talked to Cindy about the situation, she was under the impression Kevin had read his lease and knew what he was doing. Cindy said Kevin was very excited about a house he was going to be moving into, and she assumed because Kevin was so excited to be moving, he wasn't concerned about his lease.
Okay. So you're saying that Cindy heard that Kevin was very excited, and she didn't think that it would be an issue for Kevin?
Right.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add about that, Kevin?
I just don't think they handled things properly. The lease was confusing. They lost my rent twice. They never addressed any of the problems, and it took them more than 2 months to send me any kind of documentation about my deposit. I think they made some mistake, and Julie should take some responsibility for how things were handled.
Okay, so what you're saying is it took them 2 months to even give him work to you, and you just don't think they handled it very properly, and you really think Julie should take some responsibility, correct?
Yeah.
Is there anything I missed there? Or? Okay.
No.
So, Julie, do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, managing 4 apartment complexes keeps me very busy, and I'll admit I'm not at the Skyview office very often, so I'm not exactly sure what happened when Kevin came in to fill out the termination paperwork. I talked to Cindy, but to be honest, she isn't the most reliable employee. I left her in charge of sending out Kevin's bill and statement regarding his deposit, and she lost the information. It wasn't until I was cleaning out the office 2 months after Kevin left that I found the bill. She has made quite a few mistakes the past year. I'm afraid I might end up having to fire her. But the fact is, Kevin is responsible for his own actions. Yes, Cindy could have said something, but it's not the office's responsibility to second guess the decisions made by our tenants. Kevin has a copy of the lease. If he had read it, that wouldn't be an issue. He also mentioned that he did some of his own repairs, and that's a surprise to me because the office never received any kind of notice about repairs, that anything was needed, and if he had something that needed to be fixed, he should have let us know. We have a handyman for those kind of things, and I take my job very seriously. If a repair needs done, we'll get it done.
So what you're saying is that you're not at the Skyview office very often, and you do know that Cindy's not always most reliable. And it was, you said, 2 months before you even found the letter saying he was moved out?
Right.
And you think it's still Kevin's responsibility, that in your opinion he should still be responsible for the lease says, and he should follow that, correct?
Well, he is responsible for his own actions, yes.
Responsible for his own actions. Was there anything I missed?
Well, I'd like to learn a little bit more about these repairs that he said he did.
So, that's right. You said he mentioned that he did some repairs of his own, and he didn't let you or the office know. You had no idea about it.
We didn't know there were any need for repairs.
Okay, and usually you said you have a handyman that gets in right away.
Right.
Okay, is there anything else I missed?
No, I think that's it for now.
Alright, do you have anything else to add, Kevin?
About the repairs, it just seemed easier to do myself. The office was only open from 9:30 to 4, which really worked with my schedule. So by the time I filled out the paperwork and waited for them to do the work, it was just fast for me to do it myself. I also knew that the handyman that did the repairs for the complex, I didn't trust him to stay in my apartment when I wasn't there. Completing the repairs on my own was simpler. I actually brought receipts with me there. Today to prove that I did the work. Receipts for new shower rod, $35. Light fixtures to replace old and potentially dangerous fixtures, $70. Speckled and caulked repair of walls and windowsills, $15.
So can you just run through the price of each of the repairs you did again, please?
The shower rod was $35.
Alright.
The light fixture to replace old and potentially dangerous fixture was $70.
Okay.
And then the caulk to repair the windows that were leaking were $15.
Was there anything else you did?
No.
Alright. And you said that according to repairs, the office was only open from 9:30 to 4, correct?
Yeah.
And you said it didn't work with your schedule?
Nope.
Alright. And you just said it was fast to do yourself, and you didn't really trust a handyman to be in your apartments, and you prefer to do it yourself, and you
Yeah.
have receipts to prove that you actually went out and bought the
Yeah.
equipment and did it yourself, correct?
Yeah.
Alright, is there anything I missed?
No.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Alright.
No.
What about you, Julie? Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, I would really like to get this settled today, so do you have anything that you'd be willing to work with me on?
So, when you asked that, so a couple things I noticed was that, Julie, you are asking for the $775, correct?
Correct.
And also June's rent, or does the $775 include June's rent?
The $775 includes June's rent. And according to the lease, he would forfeit the deposit.
And is the $775 the deposit?
The deposit was $500.
The deposit's $500. Alright. You, Kevin, said that you thought you should get the $500 deposit back
Yeah.
with interest.
Yeah.
So, is there anything, Kevin, that you see that you could work with, or anything else you'd like to add?
The dogs.
So the dogs, you had an issue with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I should have just told them that they had dogs, but I felt like they knew.
Okay.
I felt like they knew that they had the dogs, but they just didn't want to know anything about them.
Alright.
Because dogs are noisy.
Alright, so Julie, Kevin, do either one of you think of anything you could work with or anything you're willing to negotiate with?
Well, because I want it settled today, I would be willing to consider applying Kevin's deposit to the June rent he owes. It's not something that we normally do, but he was a good tenant, so I could make an exception. I'd also be willing to consider the work he did on the apartment toward his payment. And so, because I would have had to pay out money to Mark, our handyman. So, at this point, maybe we should just call it even and walk away.
Fine.
So, Kevin, you heard what she said. She's willing to consider using the $500 deposit towards June rent, and then also using the work that you put into it. So with that, it would be the $775 minus the $500 comes out to $275. And then with the work you did, the work you said was $35 for the shower rod, $70 for light fixtures, and $15 for the caulk. Is another $120 taken out. So that'd be $155 left for you to pay towards June rent, and you wouldn't be getting any of your $500 back.
What I paid for June rent, I wasn't even there.
So you
They
don't,
had the paperwork saying that I wasn't there. Not my fault they lost it.
so you don't think you should have to pay for June rent because you weren't there?
Yeah. They could have put someone else in their apartment. I mean, I gave Cindy the paperwork. I signed it. Not my fault she lost it.
So you're saying it's not your fault Cindy lost the paper, they had the paper.
Yeah.
So you're still really upset about the June rent,
Yeah.
even though it's only $155.
I'll pay it.
I'm willing to call it even.
Just call it even.
I'm willing to call it even. If that's the cost of materials, I would have had to pay Mark. It probably would have, what is that, $155?
$155.
It would have come close to that to pay someone to do that work. So let's just call it even. And you were a good tenant, and I don't want to put anything on your credit report. I don't want to have to report this to a collection agency. But you won't be getting your deposit back. But we won't be asking you for the June's rent. We'll just call it even and be settled.
Is that okay with you, Kevin?
Yeah.
That you just call it even and she takes in consideration how much you put in and using a deposit for June's rent?
Sure.
Alright. So I'm going to write up this agreement and then I will read it over to you. It'll just be a couple seconds of quiet if you guys don't mind. Alright, so what I have here is that Julie is okay with using your your deposit towards June's rent, and she will also use the money you put in for the repairs towards June's rent, and then we'll call it even, correct?
Correct.
Is there anything else I missed?
No.
And are you both okay with that?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just date this.
Perhaps you could add to that he's understanding that he's has forfeited his deposit in this agreement. I guess you did have that on there, but
Nope, it's totally fine. I can specify. I just added that, Kevin, you have forfeited your deposit for June's rent. Is that good?
that's good. Thank you.
All right. Alright, so I just want to read over one more time since I added to it. Julie, you're okay with using Kevin's deposit towards June's rent. You will also use the money he put in for the repairs toward June's rent as well. And then you'll be willing to just call it even.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin, you understand that you forfeited your deposit to go towards June rent. You will not be receiving that.
Yeah.
Alright. Julie, if you could sign here and date here. Alright, and then Kevin, if you could just do the same, sign here and date here. Alright, I'm just going to sign this at the bottom. I just want to thank both of you for coming out here today. You did a great job, and thank you for your awesome participation in this process. I hope you both have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for being willing to come out here. And I'll make sure to get 2 copies of this to your attorneys.
Okay.